As a bodyguard, who was your best and or worst person that you had to protect, and why? I was a bodyguard for Eminem from spring 2000, right before the Mars Hall Mathers LP was released, up until about fall of 2004, right around when Ong Po was released. I can write a book about it. You never would have guessed Eminem was a celebrity. He was exceedingly humble, somewhat awkward and rarely a dick to people. He treated all of his staff, ranging from sound engineers to those who prepared food at the studio, very kindly and well. He never used his celebrity status to bully or throw contempt towards others, and actually shied away from it. Eminem's younger half-brother Nate, though, was a different story, and used his relationship with Eminem to get him passes everywhere, and into a different girl's pants every night. Also, Eminem was a serious fan of pistols, always carrying one on him, even after his arrests. Oh, and was, at certain times, quite a heavy prescription drug user. You fans were the biggest issue. Eminem could barely go anywhere in concerts, tours and any public appearances, especially around late 2002 when both the Eminem Show and the film 8 Mile were totally dominating popular culture, were the most chaotic experiences I have ever had. I do want to say, it is extremely important to never judge celebrities, or make assumptions about them, or what they do, because they totally can, and many totally do, lose their minds with the exorbitant amount of fame and excess they are exposed to. Worst, Tony Robbins. Guy was an absolute tool. Never mind the fact that he made all his wealth by taking advantage of gullible people, and his behavior just adds to his douchiness. He demanded that his hotel room be a certain temperature at all times, and when it was a couple of degrees off he lost his shit and started yelling at the hotel staff. I had to escort him up to his room after one of his seminars, and his staff groupies and hanger-ons stated that I had to be 20 feet away at all times or I would be disturbing his aura. How the hell am I supposed to protect him if I have to stand that far away? He also had this weird machine contraption that looked like a mix between an enema machine and a giant dildo. I had no idea what the hell it was for, and I didn't ask. Weird dude overall. Best, Snoop Dogg or Snoop Lion now. He was totally chill. Asked that I put the Steelers game on for him, and gave me a wad of cash to pay for a bunch of PlayStation 2s to bring up to his room since him and his entourage were going to have a major Madden tournament in the evening. Also instructed me to only allow children near him and no adults, since he only signs autographs for little kids. Actually a very well spoken and respectful individual considering what he's known for in his career. John Cena. When I was younger I worked security. I had to escort John Cena somewhere. I was told not to let any fans near him. A fan saw him and asked for an autograph, which caused more fans to see him. He said it was fine to let them near him and signed an autograph for every single fan. He apologized for making me wait and gave me a Snickers chocolate bar when we got to his dressing room. This was when he was new on the scene and not very popular. I will always remember that about him. When people say he's a nice guy, they are not exaggerating. Just had to escort the company's new CFO around our buildings as he met with different managers. Really nice guy. When it came to lunchtime I stood off in the corner of the conference room. When he noticed it, he told me to sit down with him and have lunch. I politely turned down the offer, but then he jokingly told me he would fire me if I didn't. I sat down next to him, and he asked me about my life. The next week a handwritten thank you note was given to me by my boss. The CFO told my managers what a great job I did. Not really that interesting, but I helped protect Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch from crazy fans during a show. We basically had to hold the line and pass passed out girls over it to the ends. I really had no business being out there since I was pretty scrawny and 14 or 15 years old, but my friend's dad was running the party. Got to meet Marky Mark, who was super friendly and threw a mean gang style handshake where all I could do was stay loose and go with it. Then we ate some fried chicken with a group backstage. The end. I worked at a concert venue while in college and had to guard the dressing room and escort the acts to the stage. Never had a bad experience. Top 2 stories. Ludacris smoked out his entire room, and the only time I have ever been high was from the contact high from standing next to the door. Guy in gym shorts and a t-shirt comes walking in the restricted area. I ask him for his pass and he says that he doesn't have it with him. Told him that he couldn't be there and that if he didn't leave I would have to escort him from the building. Turns out the guy was Kix Brooks of Brooks and Dunn. After he was all dressed and waiting to go on, he made a point to come up to me and apologize for not having his credentials with him. I told him that I didn't recognize him without his hat. Really nice guy. I did security for the MTV Beach House in summer of '02. From another post, Jarul was a dick. Rolling on E, kicked a par down the stairs of the MTV Beach House in Seaside Heights because he wanted more bottled water. Carson Daly genuinely a nice guy. He would always be playing in the beach sand with his daughter. Once some girl came running over, past the security gate and accosted him, nearly stepping on his daughter who was at his feet. He told her off, and she seemed really surprised. I was part of the security detail for the beach house, so I told her exactly why she was an asshole. Snoop Dogg genuinely cool. Came in with Don Magic Juan. It was during his pimp phase. Chatted with all the staff, his security guys, enormous Hulk-like monsters of men. Kept asking us how easy it was to reel and tell working for MTV. Michelle Rodriguez, she came to the house with the other girls from Blue Crush. Some of her ghetto ass friends from North Jersey snuck onto the set with super soakers. They ended up nearly destroying a 100K camera in the process. Also met David Arquette last year at Reggae on the River. He took some pictures with us, served some beer, then decided to climb on top of the empty kegs. I yelled at him to get down because the pyramid of empty kegs was not sturdy. Also, Vinny Stigma, one of the fathers of New York hardcore, was cool as shit. I grew up listening to Agnostic Front. I was at Nick Tattoos getting tatted by Lars of Rancid, another damn fine fellow, and he entertained my girlfriend by telling stories of fighting skinheads on the Jersey Shore in the 80s. I got injured while I was in the Marine Corps in San Diego in 2009. So they pimped us out to Comic-Con to do security for the celebrities that were signing and doing talks. Hands down best people that I did things for was Jamie and Adam the Mythbusters. They were totally awesome. They signed anything that anyone wanted for free and took pictures with everyone. The worst, and it made me really sad, was Adam West. He was a complete shat. He showed up covertly wearing a hat, sunglasses and a SARS mask. And when he took everything off and not many people noticed, he was upset and waited for everyone in line to applaud before he sat down. When he did, it took 20 minutes for him to get ready, which meant yelling at his assistant for a multitude of reasons. When he finally started letting people through, they announced that each autograph was $40 and he would only sign one of 4 pictures that he brought himself. After an hour he started signing things that people brought for double. $80 for him to Bali, put a scribble on something, and he wouldn't personalize any, just his name. Then he freaked out and left after yelling at his assistant for like 10 minutes. He left with over 150 people left in line that had stood there for like 3 hours. It made me really sad. I always really liked him before that. I had the pleasure of guarding Peter Cullen at a convention for the TID. Peter Cullen is the voice of Optimus Prime and EIO. When I arrived on site, I had no idea who I was guarding or about the convention. I walked in and I realized I was with my people. After I found out I was guarding Peter Cullen, I was hyped up. He was the nicest guy I have ever met. He really cared about the fans. People would tell him stories about the impact he had on them as Optimus and EIO, and he took it to heart and gave out hugs when he saw that they needed it. He looked over the gifts that he received and actually appreciated them. While in the back room, he asked for milk and Swiss chalet. He really loved Swiss chalet. The thing that caught me off guard was the fact he didn't like swearing. He was constantly making jokes while in the back and asked me to sit inside the green room and take a break. I ended up staying an extra hour at the convention just to hear him speak about his experiences and answer fan questions. TLDR, got paid to hang out with Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime and EIO. I have a couple, but it's mostly stories about bands' personal security being assholes. I works Kiss, backstage by the dressing rooms. These 4 Douchy brothers come through the stair doors with backstage passes. They asked to go in the dressing room, assuring me they've done it before at a Kiss concert. Well, the VIP passes for the crew had little stickers we had to check for. As I'm checking the passes, 2 of the guys just go into the dressing room. Gina's in. I went to get them, but the stage manager was already shoving them out and then proceeds to scream at me. I tried explaining I was checking the passes and they just barged in, but he kept berating me. Gene Simmons comes to the door and just says it's okay, don't worry. Guys are long gone, but the SM sends me to a different post outside Paul Stanley's room instead. He was an awesome dude. We chatted for a couple minutes about a fantasy novel I was reading, and he was super cool. So the band was awesome, the SM not so much. Worked a Shinedown concert. You probably don't know who that is, but they sang the Down the Barrel of a 45 song a few years ago, and were in the midst of that success. Packed venue. They had their own security who proceeded to boss us around and beat up the crowd for no reason. Like hop the barrier into a mosh and fight people. During one of these incidents some guards were helping their security back into the pit when some fans saw the opportunity to hop the stage where the hole was. Their security leader, this 6'6" Arsulcha Keslam's one of them to the stage, while out backstage security grabbed the other guy. Then he come in the pit and yells at each and every one of us that better not happen again. Even though it was their fault making our guards create a gap. Also the main singer showed up 10 minutes before the show in his own transport, which we had to part a 5,000 person crowd to get to the stage. Totally dickish. I have many more bad ones, but I'll leave with a good one. Weezer was awesome. They had full catering backstage that they let the guards enjoy as well. Most of the band was out of dressing rooms before the show and Rivers was kicking a soccer ball around with some of the guards. Super cool guys. Was roped into helping the security guys when a runner on a TV set went shopping with an Oscar-winning actress at the local supermarket. She tried talking to me, and I was just a bit dorky, so she let me do my job until we got back. Very nice though, but happy to be alone for once, I felt. TBH, I was thrilled that she acknowledged me. I saw it as a job, and would been happy to protect her in silence without that. There were some others, but again, some spoke some words with me. Mostly it's just standing by the next wall. Worst, Adam Lambert. I never met or worked for someone so heartless and rude. I was asked to take care of his private security one night as a favor for his tour manager. He literally came up to me, put his arm on my shoulder, and said unless you see 1,000 people bothering me, stay the fuck away as possible. I couldn't believe that someone I was asked to protect said that. I did my best to be professional and held every ounce of strength not to kill the guy myself. He purposely made my night a living hell. I used to bodyguard privately, usually for people I knew beforehand. The worst one was this one guy who was known for running his mouth at the wrong people, and on several occasions I had to actually force him away from the group of guys he was running his mouth at. Sometimes being a bodyguard means protecting your employer from himself more than other people. My most humorous bodyguard job was for Shaq. He came into my club, and I was assigned to him. I was 6'5", 230 pounds at the time, and he dwarfed me. It was just funny that he made me look like a child, but it was my job to protect him. Nothing crazy happened. I just had to keep people from trying to walk up and take pictures / harass him all night. The worst person was Chris Brown for obvious reasons. One of my clients is an extremely wealthy lady. She is kind and funny and definitely my favorite client. Doing security for her son's 18-year-old birthday and babysitting about 100 of the richest teenagers in the country was a terrible gig though. The arrogance and cockiness of these kids was on a level that I have never seen before, which is saying a lot, and despite most of them being just 17 or 18 years old they knew the locations of all the brothels and such. Wow, I actually have something to post for once. So I was volunteering at my friend's college. They do this concert event every year. I had nothing better to do. I helped set up, and I got to have front row seats for the comedians. That was cool. Most of the talent wasn't very famous at all, but Frankie Muniz's band, Kingsfoil, was playing there that night. Naturally, I guess, these college girls were really excited to see Frankie. I'm a lesbian, but I guess I could say he is attractive. And he is famous, so there's that. Anyways, I don't know where the guys in our volunteer group went, but when it came time for the autographs / pictures, they were long gone. I'm a big lady, very tall and I've been told intimidating, so when our leader saw the guys were gone, I was told to guard the king's foil both. You'd think it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I had never done anything like that before. I actually had to shove girls out of the way, which I felt conflicted about doing. Got lots of accidental boob that night. It was really hectic. They were probably drunk, I don't know. But yeah, I didn't get to personally meet Frankie, but from what I could tell he was a really cool guy. I worked security in college and had to protect the guys in the Bandil Scollets dressing room, which was basically just a big back room we have for bands to chill in before they go on stage at our college pub. After the show, they had a whole whack of booze complimentary, but the drummer kept insisting he smoked weed in the room. It's a school, he can't do that, so we asked him to put out the joint. Drummer refused, so my colleague took the joint when he went to pass it and put it out. We politely asked him that if he wants to smoke, he can take it outside, and we leave and come out and watch him to make sure he's okay. Drummer said no, it's fine. Pulled out another joint and sparked it up. My colleague then, losing his temper, grabbed the joint out of his hand and smashed it on the floor with his boot. At this point the drummer gets up and starts throwing shit at both of us. Bottles, cans, chair, anything he could grab. Another security guard called the police, and we tossed him out the back door by his belt and collar. Now that I look back on it, I'm glad they didn't tell the police we threw him out the door like that. Mind you, he was being incredibly violent and was a danger to everyone, including the other members of the band. No charges pressed on either side. We were just happy to get them out of there, and I think the band was happy to get him out of there as well.